what time it is. It's time for the single greatest AFL podcast you like to tune into every single week. And it's Lace Out with your host, Chris Pepper, the 377-game superstar of the East Keilor Football Club. And my co-host with the most. You know who it is. It's the great man, Jamie Wallis. How are you, big fella?
I'm very well. Peps, just to make sure, just doing a quick little audit on our session here. Have you got things turned on? Are we going to Facebook? Are we all out there broadcasting? Because last week we had some tech issues.
Yes, we had some tech issues. That would be me. But no, we're all good. We are up and running. A massive round 7 has gone. We're going to talk all about it. Lots to get through. But before we do, thank you to everybody tuning in. Once again, our numbers this year, they are the biggest we've had in 4 years. And it's all because of you. Because without you, we don't do a show. And if we don't do a show, you've got nothing to listen to. You're not going to hear the fluffies on 360 or on the counts or any out of those. We talk footy just how you want it, and we give it to you Lace Out each and every week. Mate, so much to talk about, lots to cover.
Yeah.
A couple of things. Everybody who so far has responded to our feedback survey so far, thank you very, very much. Your feedback has been invaluable, and we've already made one little tweak to the show this week, which we'll tell you when it comes later on. New segment that we're looking forward to. If you haven't done it, we're still going to leave it up there for a couple of weeks, so get on. It takes 5 minutes of your time. The link is in the show notes. Just get on, have a crack. Let us know what you love about the show, what you'd like to see, because if we can be better, then we get more people listening, and that's what it's all about. Second thing, Jamie, Bailey Fritsch has got off. Yes. It's not a strike if you don't throw it. If the guy runs into it, Dangerfield style, too bad, too sad. So there's another one. Bailey Fritsch has got off. Free to play against the Swans this week. We'll go into the matches coming up a little bit later on. But as you know, all our favourites are going to be back this week. We're going around the grounds. We're going to be spinning the magnets. We've got the listener question and a brand new segment titled 1 Week at a Time, that we are going to focus on the game that gives us a little bit of excitement moving into round 8. But JDog, what were your thoughts after a massive round 7 of AFL football?
It was a good round. I mean, I don't want to go into the show too much going off the very top here, Peps, but obviously you've split your pants open. You're very excited. But all steady stations on the ladder front. Some teams lost. My team got pumped. But in terms of ladderness and where we are and what we find ourselves, not much has changed.
Well, let's have a bit of a look at the ladder. Let's get this bad boy out of the way because we've got the ladder up. Here we go. Sorry, the air's a bit thin up the top of the ladder. I haven't been up here for a long time. We might have to change our name to the Sir Edmund Hillary Football Club because being on top of Everest, it's very, very foreign, and I don't know how much longer it's going to last for. So,
Peps, you're more Sherpa than Edmund Hillary. You're more come down as fast as you climb. You come down twice as fast.
Jesus, it's like being on helium up there, mate. It's very lonely being one game clear at the top of the ladder, and I can't say that often. The Western Bulldogs had their big test on the weekend, fell over to Richmond, but they're sitting nicely, outright second. Port Adelaide, another one that failed the big test. The Swans, geez, didn't they get it? They steal victory from the jaws of defeat. The Cats, we'll get into that in a moment. Richmond, Brisbane Lions, West Coast Eagles, Fremantle, sitting on 16 points. How compressed is that right now?
Yeah.
Then you've got the Gold Coast Suns, who I was extremely, extremely happy about. They were sensational on the weekend. GWS, Carlton, Adelaide Crows. Hey, my team, shit Kilda. It was only Hawthorn, but there were signs. So you're back to St Kilda this week. Hawthorn, Collingwood. I don't know what else we can talk about this mob because we've done it for the first 6 weeks and we're going into round 7. We're just going to touch on them lightly. And North Melbourne, even though they are last, I was pretty impressed by what they served up in the first half. But like I said, lots to get on. And if you have a look at it, it's actually the first time that it's equilibrium throughout the entire ladder.
Oh, yeah.
So at the top, 28. Down the bottom, 0. Next you got 24, then you got 4. Then you got 20s, then you got 8s, 16s, and 12s, exactly the same number. How good is that? That is the type of magnificence that we bring to Lace Out every single week. And we're going to throw the chat on.
I don't understand that, Peps. What do you mean? Explain what that means. I don't get what you're talking about.
Well, it's equal. So there's teams that have won all their games, and there's one team that hasn't won all their games. Then there's one team that's 6-1, and there's one team 1-6.
I see. There we
People
go.
who are on
That makes
radio who are
sense.
listening to this over on the podcast, it's going to be a little bit difficult to see it. So maybe just go onto our Facebook page, Lace Out Podcast, and see the ladder there, because it'll make sense. And you go, that's what he was talking about. Okay, beautiful. All right, maybe I'll just get rid of this graphic and we get back to what we do best.
Sure.
All right, go for it, buddy.
Peps, as always, open the show. Let's talk about, where do you want to go today? Do you want to go spin the magnets first? Do you want to go news of the week or round the grounds?
Mate, let's just go. I think let's go around the grounds. You know what around the grounds is? News of the week. That's what everybody loves. One of the favourite episodes that people, or parts of the show that people love, is the way that we review the big hitting topics of the week. And it all comes down to the newsman, our Tom Morris, our Tom Brown, JDog.
Thank you very much, Christopher. No. How does Tom Brown do it? Oh, he's got that way. He's got that
Thanks,
way.
Hutchie.
All right, so let's just, once again, I don't know how much we can talk about this, but anyway, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Collingwood, Essendon, Melbourne. Oh, no, that's last week's notes, Peps. You putz. You didn't even edit our own notes? Holy moly.
All right, I'll start. I'll
do it again. Collingwood hit a new low, 1-6 with North to come this week. A fantastic win by the GC.
Oh, mate, I watched this game because there was nothing else to do at this time of the day, and absolutely pumped to see what Gold Coast did. They were exceptional. I don't want to go into it too much because they could be getting maybe some votes, because what they served up on the weekend to Collingwood at the G was they made Collingwood look like North Melbourne in the second half of their game on the weekend. Yep. I don't care what anybody says. Collingwood are trash. Right? And as soon as they realise that they don't have I shouldn't say any talent, but they don't have the talent available, accept it and move on, because you're causing yourself so many dramas and your supporters false hope. False hope. And you know what hope stands for? Hold on, pain ends. And for Collingwood, it ain't going to be this year. I think you're going to be having a lot of pain for a couple of years, because you got outworked by Gold Coast. That's what you have to say.
Yeah. With Collingwood, Peps, and I always have this question around clubs who are on the slide, was it a reflection of Collingwood, or does it speak more about where Gold Coast are heading?
No, I reckon. No, I don't think about Gold Coast. I think Gold Coast have got a lot. Well, I've been praising Gold Coast and what they've been doing over the last couple of years. They've brought you in. They've been able to lock down a number of their good players up there now. They're not just all moving in and out. Yeah. They've actually been really competitive this year. They just haven't been able to get the results on the board. They haven't, how normally Gold Coast would fall away in games? Yeah. They haven't done that as much this year. They picked up Ellis. They also picked up Greenwood recently. Yeah. Then they bring in Markov as well this year. Yeah,
Wiedering, all that sort of players.
They're just bringing in players to support these young kids. And, Raul's not running around, so they're going to get a number one gun again next year. But some of those, like Brandon Ellis probably had his best game for the club. Hugh Greenwood had his best game for the club. Tuke Miller, my goodness gracious, if you have not watched Tuke Miller play football, you don't watch football.
Need to see more of him though.
Oh, he was just sensational. He just blew. He ran. He outworked Collingwood. Okay, yeah. And when Collingwood is still relying on Pendlebury and Sidebottom to get him across the line, your future's not looking bright.
Yeah. Darcy Moore, where does the experiment finish? He's not a forward. He's not the weekend showed he doesn't know where to lead, doesn't know where to make position, doesn't know how to lead, doesn't know how to get separation. He's not a forward.
But you know what? I don't blame him for that.
No, absolutely.
Because that's where they're playing him. And one thing that's come in from Joel Michael on the chat is North are a big chance this week. And I'll tell you what, mate, when we get the tipped out later this week, I'm picking North. Yeah. My concern with North is that they might not be able to run the game out. We saw what happened on the weekend, but what they served up in the first half was miles above what Collingwood served up for the entire game. And I don't think the scoreline of that Gold Coast game was justice for how they got dominated across the board.
Yep. Craig Jones also mentioned here as well from the Portraits podcast is Collingwood's lowest Melbourne crowd since '88.
Mm.
And a lot of people in here, Nick from the podcast has also said North could get their first win this season. There is a feeling amongst our own viewers here, Peps, that North are keen or North are in the box seat.
Mate, I tell you what, if there's any other Melbourne supporters watching this or listening to this, if at halftime you weren't going, here we go, good old Melbourne are back, you are not a true Melbourne supporter because they almost set themselves up for failure. And I think there was a good, Goody gave a good rocket in the cheeks at halftime and they've come out and then just dominated it.
Yeah.
But North are playing they were playing good football. And you could sort of see it, they were doing it in patches, but they came all the way here. Good to have you here, Tori. Tori's got the D's here. But it was really good just to see them just play some good, wholesome football. Mate, I'm pumped for them this week. I really am pumped for them.
Yep. So I suppose for Collingwood, it's one of their worst. It's even worse than 2005 Collingwood at the moment. I'm not going to spend much more time on this. No.
I reckon it's worse now.
Yeah.
Because at least in 2005, the board seemed to be as one. They seem to be whole.
Yeah.
There's fractions left, right, and centre. It seems to be at board level at the moment. And if you don't get your off field right, your on field is not going to. You've got to get your off field side of things solid. And as soon as you do that, then your on field will follow because you've got to have that leadership and guidance from the top.
Yep.
And you look at all the good clubs. All the good clubs have solid, a solid board. Richmond, look at you got Peggy and you got Gale and you got Hardwick, right? Those three put together and what they've been able to produce, it flows onto the field as well too. West Coast, solid off field, being able to flow onto the on field. Okay.
Yep.
The Doggies were a train wreck for a while. They've come on board. Melbourne are the perfect example. We couldn't get a board anywhere. Bunnings, Mitre 10, anywhere. We'd pick a president. We'd go down to pick a president who's cheap. Now we get some solidarity. It all comes into play.
Joel Michael, I'd love to agree with you, Trelaw, having multiple last laughs, but unfortunately, he picked Collingwood over Richmond. So,
yeah, but I know, but Collingwood did have the better list. They probably did have the better list, just not the best.
Who knows? Well, I'm sick of talking about Collingwood because you know what?
All right, let's pick another one. Come on.
They just take up all of our time. People message us about them. I'm sick of talking about them. So,
all right, can we talk about something else?
Absolutely.
All right, whingers.
Whingers or wingers or winners?
Whingers. Whingers. People who whinge. Teams that whinge. Supporters that whinge.
Oh, are you going for a certain angle here, Peps?
Well, I am going for a bit of an angle here because on the weekend, another game apparently has been cost by an umpire error.
Oh.
I don't know if you've heard about it. Might be for anyone who hasn't seen. Game on the weekend, Geelong versus Sydney, 21.5 metres. Apparently that kick went. The thing that annoys me about all of this, is simply the fact, what were they, 5 goals up, 6 goals up at one stage?
Yeah.
Okay. The Geelong game, where they were earlier in the year against Brisbane, they were up by a fair margin and lost that. Essendon had the one that they lost against Sydney, but they were up by a fair margin and lost that. And now it's happened again. So I think this whole umpire error, they did make an error and it was good that they came out and said it. But I think the biggest side of things or the things that need to have a look at is simply the fact that teams have given up 4, 5, maybe plus goal leads in these games and it's got to this situation.
Well, I mean, I just call it footy.
You've got to sit back and go, hey, you know what? If you were 5 goals up and lost, there's something there. And Essendon are the perfect team. If you can get a run on in Essendon, you're not going to score 2 or 3. You're going to score them in bulks. 5, 6s, 7s. You can get a good run on against these teams, okay? And it's Joel Michael's come out with Brad Scott, we want 16-minute quarters. Yeah, it's because your team is, yes, exactly right. They've got a bunch of dinosaurs on their team. And the other thing is that they would have won the game if it had happened. So I'm just sick and tired of them whinging about, it was umpires made a mistake. Mate, have a look at your own team and why are teams constantly giving up 5, 6 goal leads and losing games.
Peps, I'm surprised.
That's what needs to be looked at.
I'm surprised, Peps. I thought you would just go down this and you'd see the headline and go, meh, footy gods, footy karma. You won one against you pinched one against Brisbane. This is now square up.
Yeah, but that's all crap, mate.
I love it. Come on.
Yeah, I love the footy
justice.
gods, but let's just put it in perspective, all right?
Oh, come on, how good is
these
it?
teams are just they're not going on with it. They're getting complacent and teams are running over them. That's what it is.
I love it. I love it. It made me laugh so much, to see that.
Yeah, it was a real shame to see Geelong lose in that manner.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely heartbreaking. In fact, I had the Titanic music. That's what that needs.
I bought shares in Kleenex.
Yeah.
I bought shares in Kleenex. Yeah.
Yep. Sad moment all around.
They're a little bit like Wet Toast or the Wankers with anchors. Jeez, what do we got for Geelong? They're just the handbaggers, aren't they?
Yep. Craig Jones, I love this one here. How good is that video of the Crows supporter right in front of me? That still is my greatest ever footy whinge I've ever heard. I love that video.
Oh, it's just beautiful. Right in front of me. Right in front of me. We were robbed.
Oh, dear.
You do shit. All righty. What's next,
Peps,
big man? We're whipping through these. These are good tonight. I'm liking it. Hey, love a banter on the chat at the moment. I'm loving it. But I want to see some aggro between the different podcasts. We haven't seen that so far tonight.
No. Reason if track signs. Joel Michael, I'll need cheese and Kleenex for another reason if track signs that 7-year contract.
Oh, mate.
Please sign that contract.
If he signs that contract, champagne showers will be changed to our new theme song.
I want you to sign that contract and watch it all go to hell.
The KY Connection. We'll rename our podcast to if he signs for 7.
Peps, this is giving me flashbacks to when you told me that Mark Neal was going to be the greatest thing to Melbourne.
It was a plan to get Ruse. He was a patsy. he was a patsy, like Lee Harvey Oswald.
So what
get Nealed in, we screw the pooch, we get Ruse.
And you get
Nine
AFL
games.
appointed open checkbook.
Don't care. You still wanted to get rid of Hinkley for years.
I still do.
Yep.
All right. So let's talk about. Let's talk about. I can't even keep focused looking at that comment from Joel. The big boys are back.
Oh,
West
the
Coast,
big boys are
Richmond,
back.
Brisbane all had massive wins against other top 8 teams.
Oh, they certainly did, and it was a round of football where the big boys played the big boys. It was simple as that. And and mind you, there was some lower teams playing each other as well too. But it's just funny how the games sort of play out against each other.
Yeah.
But when you have a look at the final 8 as it sits at the moment, and we've already gone through it. Now Richmond took on the Doggies. It was the Doggies' biggest test for the year, and you could probably say that they fell over. They got beaten. They got out Richmond.
Richmond minus Dustin.
Yeah, it was what Melbourne did to Richmond the week before.
Yep.
Richmond did it to the Doggies. They just ran over them. They pressured them. The Doggies midfield couldn't do what they normally did. The back line just got absolutely smashed. And yeah, that's what just Richmond do. They just strangle you. They compress you, and then they hurt you on the rebound. And it just goes to show that the defense of the Doggies just wasn't able to stand up with the onslaught that was coming down there. And Tom Lynch actually, I think, finally did something this year.
Took a few marks, a few goals, 3 goals.
He exactly did.
3 or 4 goals, yeah.
We're going to get into your mob in a moment, but then you had that 2-point win to Sydney. Just when you think Sydney are going to fall off the edge of the cliff, they come out and do what they did. 14-6 they kicked. They had 20 scoring shots to 28. Yep. They've had virtually half as many inside 50s as Geelong have had. Mm-hmm. They've come out and beat them by 2 goals. So it's once again the whole quality versus quantity. The kids have played a great game. I've got a feeling my feeling on the Swans at the moment is with their kids on that smaller ground, not as much running needs to be done. When they get out to the bigger open spaces, they're playing the D's this week on Saturday night. I'm a bit concerned because Sydney have absolutely smashed us over the last number of years. Yeah. So that's going to be an interesting one. But yet they've fallen over. But so a great test there.
Also, Sydney being young kids, Peps, we know that with young kids, young teams, you're going to have the huge ups and the huge downs. That's just what a young team does.
Exactly right. And then you got on the West Coast beating Freo. Freo had been playing really good football and really showing something in the first 6 weeks. West Coast, who did nothing against Geelong the week before, go back to their home deck and have 32 scoring shots to 18 and just decimate them by 10 goals. So what does that say? Does that say more about West Coast being flat track bullies? They can't play away from home? Or is that Fremantle just getting a pass to the Mark Neal reality bus?
Bit of both. I mean,
A bit of both?
West Coast have been accused of that now for 2 years because of the whole, in COVID times last year, they couldn't win a game in Queensland. But bring it back to there.
They're another bunch of whingers when it came to COVID last year as well too. And then you've got your mob, who I picked to beat Brisbane last week. Mate, what happened there? You kicked 5-14. Bad kicking's bad football.
Well, bad kicking's bad football. The most disappointing thing about it all, Peps, was the fact that this has happened now twice in 4 weeks. So we are definitely on the same level of West Coast when it comes to being flat track bullies, because slow starts have killed us and we never seem to recover. And it's worrying that it's happened so early on, but premierships aren't won in April and May. So I only hope that we can turn it around. For those, and the Port boys are on here now, we know we've got quite a few Port supporters on our podcast. There's some players that are done, and that's just the reality of it. Hamish Hartlett, he's probably done now for the season. And then a question's come from Craig Jones, and Peps, this is probably one that relates to you guys as well, because we still are in COVID times. Thoughts on teams being made to fly into a game the day of the game being played? Not a whinge, just ultra long days can make teams sluggish. What I'd say that one there for me, Peps, is teams did it last year. Why can't we do it now?
Nah, I think it's different. I think it's different. I think, except for Perth, which makes me just laugh. Look, for everybody who's listening to this in Perth, look, we're with you. I know it's not a great time. We were locked down for 6 months down here in Melbourne. No, you didn't have to go through as much of that, but crikey, your premier said that you were, another part of, you separated yourselves from Australia last year and caused so many ruckuses. Now we have to bend over backwards for you. So the way I look at this, though, is that if it's not fair for every club, that's where it peeves me off. Now, I know that I can only, because you only take interest in your own club. We had a situation last year where we played the Dogs and flew up to Cairns on the day where they'd been up there for, I think it was 3 days earlier. Like, that makes no sense. It depends on how far you're flying to. Like, if it's Queensland, maybe. If it's just at Hobart, it's not a big issue. But it's just a long. I think it's more not physically. I just think it's more mentally draining. And if you have a look at the way the D's turned up last week against North, they just weren't mentally turned on for the first half of the game. So I don't know if that had something to do with it. I don't know. But there is definitely something in there. Like, if you've had to travel in the car, sit in the car for an hour driving to go somewhere to train or do whatever you need, by the time you get there, you're absolutely cooked and you haven't even started your day. It's no different from a footballer. You're sitting in a bloody compressed aluminium tube. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Some questions have come through, Pep, so I'm going to quickly just rattle some of these off of my thoughts.
Yep.
First one. Todd Marshall out. No, I don't think Todd Marshall's the problem. I think the question has come through from Buzz on Charlie Dixon. For me, Peps, and this has been my stance on Charlie Dixon for a while. I think that he's big, he's strong, he's tough, but he doesn't do enough as a forward. And whether it's because he runs under the ball too often, whether there is a problem with his leading patterns, or whether his hands are just like concrete. So my problem is we paid him a lot of money, and if all he's being paid for is to bring a ball to ground, then any reserves player from any country league can bring a ball to ground and crush a pack. We want a forward who can mark a ball, and that's what your forwards are paid for, to mark the ball and kick goals. He was dropping and has been dropping regulation marks into the 50, and he got made to look like real second rate on the weekend, like he got taken apart.
Oh, well, Travis Hall, hey, congratulations for joining us, Travis. Loving you having you here. He just said Dixon has had a bad year, but not as worse as Lynch prior to round 7. Mate, Lynch is... There's a guy who's getting paid way more than he's actually delivering as well too. He did show something on the weekend, but the Dogs' backline is their weakness. So he didn't really have much to go against. And so, but once again, you can only play against who you play against. I think, he's needed to pull his finger out as well too, especially when you see what Cale Hooker's doing down at Essendon. He's third on the Coleman at the moment, having a season he's blowing it out at the moment. It's awesome to see. Yeah, Lynch should be doing that every week. He's been around a long time. Yeah, he's got a body like an Adonis, but he's just not playing like him.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right,
It was.
okay.
Look, Port. I'm not concerned at the moment. But there are some things they need to tweak before it gets a bit serious.
Now, JDog,
Mm-hmm.
we're going around the grounds. We know it's news of the week, but something has come up.
Oh,
You know,
no.
what is my biggest bugbear? What is it that I just cannot stand?
Is it when your favourite fleshlight is in the dishwasher?
Besides that, it's when the AFL want to change another rule or another potential.
That was my second.
Another
choice.
potential. That was the second.
I promise.
It's all right. As long as it's not on putts and pan cycle, I'm fine with that. All right. So you wrote something here about rules wanting to be changed again. Another couple of rules look like they want to be tweaked.
Yeah.
Added or tweaked. Now, when I saw this, I said, it can't be again, can it?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what you've got here.
All right. The first one is the bounce, Peps. It's mid-season or start of the season. We're already talking about the bounce and whether we should have it in or have it out. For example, or to bring it back to where this conversation's all sort of kicked off was from Razor Ray on Saturday, just absolutely having a mare of a time bouncing the ball. It wasn't going up high enough, bouncing left, bouncing right, just wasn't doing the right thing. So the question is, do we want umpires who are bouncing, or do we want to encourage umpires, good decision makers, to just throw the ball up?
Leave the bounce in. Once again, I'm telling you now, it's because of the balls have not been kicked in.
But we know that there is a serious umpire shortage out there because they can't bounce to AFL standards. So what do we want?
Jamie,
good decision
are you
makers,
serious? Are you telling me that they're not doing it because they won't bounce?
Peps, I'm just saying, Peps, because
I don't care if they throw it up.
Are we getting the best decision makers, or are we getting the best bouncers? What do we want, athletes or footballers?
We're not getting either at the moment. But throw it up. I don't care anymore. I've had enough of this debate. All I want, though, this is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
At the start of the AFL, at the start of any game, at the start of any final, tell me you don't get the hairs on the back of your neck standing up when the umpire raises and he walks in and he just goes thud, and the ball goes straight up in the air. It is one of the moments of the season. It's the first thing that they show on every single highlight grand final day. Now, this is what it will like. Umpire holds the ball up, and then you hear nothing because it's not the ball hitting the deck. It's being thrown up in the air. No, you've got to leave some traditions in. I'm sorry. We've taken so many traditions out of this great game of ours, and it is what AFL was known for. If you think about all the things the AFL was known for, the goal umpires in their sexy white coats, gone.
Mm-hmm.
Kicking the ball to yourself out of fullback, gone.
Mm-hmm.
Third man up, gone.
Mm-hmm.
There's three.
Well,
now you want to get rid of the bounce? Come on, man.
Peps, I'm just saying, we also got rid of lace-up jumpers as well for a reason.
Oh, because one person got their finger caught in it.
But Peps, I'm saying you can't use you can't say that one rule exceeds over the other. If we've changed the rule for other ones, why can't we change this rule if we're going to get the best decision makers ever? Can you tell
me what has been a great tell me a rule change in the last 5 years? I'll go back 10 years. Mm-hmm. 3 rule changes that have made a massive difference to how the game is played.
666
has improved the game.
Has changed the rule.
That's low-hanging fruit, mate. 666 is a farce. We've gone on about this for the last 2 years, all right? So don't get me sucked in with that crap. 666 is bullshit.
50-metre penalty versus 25 like it used to be, or 15.
50-metre penalty was brought in 20-plus years ago. Don't start that.
You're asking me about question about when the game's changed, about rules.
Yeah. Give me another one.
Oh, gosh.
That wasn't a rule change. They just extended it out. That's a bit of a difference. Man on the mark, yes, I agree with down on the mark.
20-minute quarters from 25.
Oh, I agree with that one. But it's 20 minutes plus time, 25 plus time. Yeah, I agree with that. No, that's a good one. That was brought in the 90s, I think, earlier. So, once again, but nothing recently has made an ounce of difference, if not it's made the game slower.
an ounce of difference. I think lots have changed this year
No,
to
they
make that
haven't.
game much faster.
Mate, the whole nominating a ruckman, has that made the game better? No, it's stupid. All right.
It's brought back ruckman though.
Oh, the ruckman were already there, mate. The ruckman were already there. You got 2 6'8" blokes standing around a bunch of guys who are 6'4", and you don't think they're the two that are going to go up. Please. It's just a stupid thing.
No.
The deliberate out of bounds is bullshit.
Well, what do you think?
The way that that's being policed at the moment, they've got no feel for the game whatsoever. Backmen are getting slaughtered at the moment.
Okay.
You can't chop the arms.
You can't
kick it along the ground. You can't take it. You've got nothing. You've got nowhere to roam.
So, Peps, so are you saying that you'd rather have an umpire who can bounce the ball because tradition versus an umpire who has a feel for the game but can't make the AFL squad in umpiring because they can't bounce the ball? You'd rather have that person as opposed to the person who makes the correct decision?
No, all I'm saying is that you've got to leave the bounce in for certain circumstances.
But
I don't have an issue with that.
What if you can't bounce the ball to AFL standards?
Well, then get the other guy to bounce it. Fuck, there's 3 umpires out there, Duffy.
But don't you want 3 fantastic decision-making umpires?
Well, like if we can get 1 good decision-making umpire and 2 that can probably toe the line, I'd be happy with that.
I'm a fan of Razor Ray. Don't come into Razor Ray's work because I'm a fan of him.
Just gives me the shites.
That's all I'm saying. It's a question out there that every year we have the same question. Yeah, that's fair. We have this same question every year.
I know we have it every year, and I'm going to say the same thing. I like the bounce. I like the thud. I like the randomness of it. This whole thing when it goes out of the circle, big deal. Why does it have to go straight up all the time? It's an oval ball.
To be fair,
fair. Don't start me on this. This football's not fair. You get the good with the bad. Just deal with it. Anyway, can we move on? Because the captain's review is another one.
It's a classic.
And I heard this. Bring in a captain's review where the captain can challenge a decision that's made.
Which club is pushing this, you reckon?
No. This was Joey Montagna brought this one up.
Mm-hmm. After what game?
Have a guess. Okay. Which club do you reckon brought this up? The Handbaggers. It's funny after their game of the work.
It's funny how they weren't talking about 3 weeks earlier.
No, exactly right. But the whole point is, no, there's no captain's call. I'm sorry. No. You've got 80 minutes to play the game, plus time on. All right? You got 80 minutes. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
You win the game in that time frame. Don't give up a 5-goal lead. You won't have this issue.
Every other sport that has a review or a challenge or something like that, then why can't AFL?
We're not a stop.
I'm not agreeing with you. I'm just
we
playing
can't even
devil's
get
advocate.
people in Noah's Ark to figure out whether the ball was touched over the line or not. It takes them 4.5 hours to figure out if it flicked a fingernail. Could you imagine that?
Peps. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No captain's call. Don't follow every other sport. Okay. Leave our sport unique. Otherwise, we're just going to feel like another game as it is. And
what
by the
happens?
way, the whole getting rid of the centre circle, you've got to leave the centre circle in there. That whole double circle thing has saved so many ruckmen's careers. Because if you have a look in the old days where they used to run from virtually centre half back and collide into each other, that's been one of the best things. That's saved careers, saved ruckman's career. PCL injuries have gone to virtually nothing. So I know what you're saying, but no.
Should the AFL ground now come with a grid layout formation so we can calculate exactly how many squares the ball has moved to eradicate 20?
I swear, I just think sometimes you just do this with me to freaking rev me up. Because no one can be that stupid by asking me questions like that every single week. I reckon you just do it to get me fired up. We have marks
on the NFL field so we know exactly when the ball traveled 10 yards. Why can't we have the same for AFL? It's just, Peps, it's not my idea. I'm just coming with you as a devil's advocate.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go get my cross and holy water and I'm going to burn you.
Oh, shit, I'm being sacked already. Look at that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sack Jamie. Sack him. I bought you that T-shirt. I might have to ask Alira to send it back to me.
You might have to.
Can I raise something? Yeah, JDog have a spell. Look, all the love's coming through for you right now. Should the AFL get rid of Collingwood? Well, then you might get your Port Adelaide jumper back. Hey, listen, Luke Jackson, rising star for this round. So well done to you, Jacko.
Absolutely.
Absolute star.
Probably deserved it 2 or more rounds ago, but anyway.
Yeah, there you go. Round of applause for him. Yep. That's his second nomination. So he's one of only a few players to have 2 nominations. A comment came up earlier on when we were talking about the bottom 6 players for Port and are they good enough? And I think it's always been said that your top 6 players win your games through the season.
Yeah.
Your bottom 6 players are the ones that win your finals. because you know what you're going to get. It's when they rise a little bit. And if I had to look at, I'll say this, if I had to look at Melbourne's bottom 6 players and I'd have a look at Port's lower 6 players, I might even go the Doggies bottom 6 players. And if you sort of compared those 3 teams at the moment, another reason because they're the top echelon at the moment, I think there's been more development in Melbourne's bottom 6 than the other 2 teams. And I think that's what's made a big difference. And I know the guys who are listening to us right now would probably agree with it, that there's players that we were saying get rid of at the end of last year. We're having career best seasons. So they've just elevated themselves at the moment. And it's good to see because they're doing their role. I hate that term, but they are doing their role and it's making a massive difference. And it's unfortunately when your bottom 6 are not playing well, it means that the top echelon have to play harder to make up for what the others aren't doing. Yeah. Yep. Okay. But he's having a great season. It's leaving Gawn to be able to either go forward or go back. He's getting his ruck work. He's kicking goals. He's an athletic beast. Absolutely love the bloke. And what number does he wear? That's right, 6. All the guns wore 6. All right. And last one before we get to spin the magnets. JDog, how good is this? That Thursday night teams are going to be back. Potentially. Yes. I'm so happy because we do tipped out and we're looking at it going, well, we don't know who's going. We don't even know who's in, who's out, what the squad is, etc. Having Thursday night teams is going to make, but there's nothing better than waking up, debating it on a Friday. How the hell did friggin' Neil Bullen get another game? Big Trev would say to me.
Peps, people who play Supercoach are rejoicing all over the country with this information.
I reckon you need to get your fleshlight out.
I don't play Supercoach for that exact reason because it is too hard to manage. Imagine then trying to manage players in and out for 6 p.m. Saturday night checking for Sunday games. That would just be a nightmare.
It would be poo. So it's good to see that one back. Absolutely. All right, my friend. Let's get those magnets out. Let's spin those bad boys. I know everybody listening on the podcast, if you've ever heard of this before, it's where JDog and we give either 3 votes to our news of the week that we've gone great performances, or someone's going to get dragged, meaning, you know what, it was absolutely putrid what you did. So I'm going to throw this one over to you, JDog. Where do you want to start? Do you want to drag or do you want to give the votes? Where do you want to go?
Let's go to give the votes.
Giving the votes? All right, let's start with the new A. I've got a new one too. Here we go.
Boom shakalaka!
No, wrong one.
Wrong one. Boom shakalaka. Rightio. Here we go.
3 votes.
Beautiful. Brand new 3 votes. How crisp was that? All right.
Bit
go
louder,
for a bit, man. Go give you 3 votes.
All right. My number 1 vote this year goes to myself. I've returned to hockey after a very, very, very almost 20-year layoff of playing hockey, Peps. And
did you just give yourself 3 votes?
No, 1 vote. 1 vote. Three's for later on. 1 vote for me. And Peps, yes, your prediction was correct. I did do an old man hammy. So 1 game and injured already. So I lasted about. Thank you, Peps. You did call it. Anyway, all good. Back this week.
Twang.
1 vote. I was hobbling around the field like Gary Lyon. Number 2, Peps. You know, Gary Lyon did his hamstring, basically like that. Number 2, Razor Ray. Umpire. We love umpires. Razor Ray.
Umpire votes.
I am. Because he called someone a champ on the weekend, and I can't find who the player was, but I absolutely love that. Being champed by an umpire. Come on, Peps. I love that. That's 2 votes for me. Razor Ray champed a player. That is as good as it gets.
I want to get Razor Ray on the podcast. If anybody knows Razor Ray, who can get us in contact with Razor Ray,
I love him.
Get him on, mate. We want to get him on here because he's our favourite umpire besides Neville Nash.
I don't care what people say about Razor Ray. For me, umpires love a bit of personality. What about Herb from UFC? We all love Herb.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm a big John McCarthy.
Oh, yeah.
You ready? Let's get it on. I love that.
And for me, 3 votes this week goes to Thursday night teams because not only does it makes our show better on Thursday nights when we do our tipping tipped out. 2, lace out. Supercoach, huge win for them. And 3, traditional.
Yes.
Like you said,
Oh,
Peps,
hold on.
you love tradition.
Hold on. Are you saying you want tradition back after what you rolled out 5.5 minutes ago?
I wasn't rolling out. I was just throwing it out there as a devil's advocate.
You could come back from Melbourne. That's how fair weather you are.
No,
All right.
So there's no teams for me. 3 votes.
Rightio. So here's my 3 votes. First
Sure.
and foremost, I'm giving a 1 vote to North Melbourne on the weekend for scaring the absolute bejesus out of every Melbourne supporter up until around 3 minutes into the third quarter. The quality of football that they played has shown me that there is something there. And what David Noble is doing with that group of players is leading somewhere. So it was really nice for them to have a nice – because they were out Melbourning Melbourne on the weekend. I know I say that a lot in terms of out something, but
hey, you
they
were
were running
me.
all over us. They were – yeah.
You
And
were
I
texting
wrote
me.
to Jamie going, mate, I hate this. Excuse my language. I don't want to, I don't want to get banned, but what I was saying was that what every Melbourne supporter was feeling, it was just tripe what they were delivering. So just really nice to see what they were delivering. And it actually gets me salivating for this week because they're playing Collingwood. And I can't wait for that because if North roll Collingwood, my goodness gracious. I know it's not a week of Collingwood talk that we want to hear, but what's going to happen? I don't know. So that's my 1 vote. Right, 2 votes I'm giving to little bags. So, like when you used to go to the milk bar and you'd get a little bag of lollies and there'd be like 4 mates and 4 freckles and 4 – okay. There were just little bags of goals kicked on the weekend and it was just awesome to see. You got Hooker kicking 5 for the Dons. You got Fritchie who got off. I don't know if I've mentioned that, but Fritchie got off who kicked 6 on the weekend, career best. A guy who I hadn't seen play much football, but I was really impressed by what he served up on the weekend was Corbett for Gold Coast, kicking 4 himself.
Yep.
My mate, Jesse Hogan, geez, it was nice to see the big fella come back with 4 against Adelaide. Even good old, what's his name? Jack Higgins, Snags Higgins himself. But there was one other bloke who kicked 4 on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And if this doesn't get you excited, nothing will. Tipper kick 4 on that game on the weekend, and it was just awesome to see that game. Just loved it. So I love a good bag, and I love seeing little bags, not these 1s and 2s. I like seeing 4s as well too. And my 3 votes, I can't give it to any other team but Gold Coast. What they did and how they controlled Collingwood all day was Collingwood was second rate. Brandon Ellis, best game for the club. Touk Miller, like I've spoken about him before. Hugh Greenwood, the forwards. By the way, Buzz, you're not going to like this, but the best king, he's up at Gold Coast, mate.
He is.
He's the gun. Okay, Benny King, take him any day of the week over Max. His second efforts, there's some footage shown of his second effort where he didn't get the mark, jumped back on it, handballs out, they kicked the goal. He was sensational. Max King, he's all right, but he just can't clunk him. And unfortunately, the other 2 King brothers, Wang, he unfortunately he went off early through injury, and Far King, he was a bit stiff, and unfortunately will get dropped this week as well too. But yeah,
that were your 3. Peps, I'm surprised you didn't go with Melbourne as your number 3 team, number 3 votes, because I don't think Melbourne have had 7 in a row to start a season since they were the only team playing Australian football.
I think it might have been black and white TV days.
Sure.
No, they didn't deserve it.
Okay. You're a harsh man, but fair enough.
Buzz, thank you very much. Yes, I am entitled to my view, but if you ask the listeners, listening to this now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Alibaba Podcasts, wherever they're listening to it or watching the stream, they will probably agree with me that Gold Coast King is better than Saints King. All right, so there's my 3 votes. But you know what, JDog? When we speak the magnets, it's not always good news. So unfortunately, somebody has to get a bit of this action. I'm sorry.
Haley off, Ellingworth on. Bloody weakest piss.
All right, I want to see if you copied me. I'm going to go my one. You're going to go your one, okay?
Oh, you do your one, I'll do my one. Okay. You're going to give an honorary mention?
That's my number 3, honorary mention.
Okay, cool. All right, then go for it.
Number 1, Port Adelaide, weakest piss. That is tripe. Don't come serving that shit because that is rubbish. That should have been 80 to 100 point loss. That was poo.
Okay. My one vote goes to Aaron Norton and potentially the worst shot for goal we have seen all season.
Yes, I missed that.
Potentially the worst kick. That was shocking.
I've never seen.
Adam Serra had one earlier at the start in the first game of the year, which I think he was 25 out and didn't make the distance, but that topped it.
I've never seen a player kick the ball with his calf muscle.
Oh, it was putrid. That was putrid.
Also, I'm getting votes in here. Great. One for me.
Votes. All right,
I'm getting one already.
2 votes.
2 votes for me. Collingwood, rubbish. Rubbish performance. Absolute rubbish. That is terrible. Not only are you costing your club, you are costing your coach, you're costing an all-timer at your club, and that is complete rubbish.
Okay, well, mine's not that one, but it is another person, Paddy McCartan. Like, I know you want to try and get your career back, and I know you want to hit the target, but making the target another bloke's chin and giving yourself 5 weeks in the Sydney Twos is not going to get your career back, okay? Apparently his blood sugar levels were down and that's what gets him agitated, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say yeah or no on that, but, mate, it's going to make it hard to play footy when you're chinning blokes. And, yeah, not a good look, mate. So
didn't end well for Barry Hall. It's not going to end well for you.
No. Yep. And you know, both those blokes played for St Kilda, and who follows St Kilda? Buzz. I reckon there's something in that. All right. And who's your 3 votes, mate? Who's your 3 votes? Number
3. It is a footy podcast, but I'm just going to say it, Peps. And I think you agree with me. And if not, get stuffed. The Australian cricket players do not expect to get royal treatment from the government, flying home, all those sorts of things after you're chasing the cash over in the IPL. You knew the risks, you copped the consequences, and if you want to risk it, go to jail. I don't care. I really don't care. So, you know the risk, you know the rewards you were doing, you know exactly what was going to happen. So, don't start saying, and Michael Slater, you're in this as well.
Oh, yeah, you went over for the cash too. Don't give me that. Oh.
Do not say that the Prime Minister has blood in his hands, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah.
Sorry, green. Guys. You
went chasing
green on
millions.
your hands. You went chasing the cash. Yeah, good call, JDog. Bloody proud of you.
Well,
I like that one.
Do you know what, Peps? And this is, you and I discussed this before the show, and this is almost frypan worthy for me because it absolutely pisses me off.
Hold on.
It's not.
Is it? Should we?
Chuck it in, chuck it on.
Let's chuck it in the fry pan. JDog's first ever fry pan.
The Australian cricket team is already on the nose. I like cricket. I'll follow Australian teams. I will always support Australian teams. But compared to what it was to where we are now, I couldn't name you 5 test players. Peps, could you name me 5 test players?
Yes, I could.
Very good. I could not anymore.
Don't ask me to, but I could.
Back in the 2000s, I could. The Australian cricket team is already on the nose of the Australian public, and you do small things to win us back through great sportsmanship and those sorts of things. I think you've blown it. I think this is almost worse than, for sporting people, this is almost worse than Sandpaper Gate.
Oh, gee, that's a big call, mate.
I'm just sick of sports players' entitlement, or they think they're entitled to some special reward. You chase money. It's not on the government to bring you back or do a Kickstarter or whatever bullshit you want to pull. Sit there in India for the next 6 months, sitting in your 5-star resort in Hilton, because you can definitely afford to. And do not bitch about it, because there are other people in Australia or all around the world that cannot get back to our lucky country. You went chasing money. You knew the risk. You're stuck there. Suck it.
Tell you what, mate, I'm patriotic, big fella. I'll tell you what, you need to turn up the burners more often, my friend. If that's what you're going to deliver in the kitchen.
Annoys me.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. All right. Righty. So,
who's your 3 votes?
My 3 votes. Oh, mine's not even a footballer. Was a footballer. Has now become a commentator. And I reckon this guy is the worst commentator. Dwayne Russell. Dwayne the Love Muscle Russell. Like I said, I watched the game Gold Coast on the weekend. Now, if there's people who watch this game, you'll agree with me.
Mm-hmm.
How many times he said, insert name here, is his first game here at the MCG?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's Corbett's first game at the MCG. It's Isaac Rankin's first game at the MCG. It's Ben King's first game at the Ben King's first game at the MCG. I couldn't give a rat's ass. I was waiting for him to say, hey, it's the pie seller in section M46's first game at the MCG. The record seller on level 2 at the Southern Stand. Guess what? It's his first game at the MCG. I could not care less, mate. Like, seriously, who gives a rat's teabag? No one cares.
Is he more annoying than Luke Hodge with his obvious comments?
Luke, Captain Obvious Hodge. adds I might call him time lapse, because he basically just rewinds what you saw 5 seconds earlier and just repeats it, but in verbal rather than vision.
That's great.
Oh, he's shocking, mate. And then I listened to his dribble on the radio. How he's got a gig, I got no idea. Hutchie, mate, that's a bad call. He's not a big fan of Dwayne. Sorry, I know you're trying, but you run with a joke once, okay? And you're not funny. You're not funny like me or JDog. Don't go with it again.
Dwayno.
Dwayno. All right, so there's our 3 votes. All right. JDog. Listener question. What is our listener question? And give us a summary of the responses from last week. So the listener question from last week was?
Favorite biscuits of all time, savory or sweet?
Oh, geez, there were some good ones that came. There was some good ones that came in on the chat, mate. Just plow through some of the big ones.
Absolutely. Yep, I'd love to when that comes up for me. Peps.
He had a week to get this ready.
No, calm down. People love the suspense. All right, here we go. Jesus,
biscuits are melting.
Some people get really excited about biscuits, and I really love that.
I know there was a bit of love, Ice Vovo.
Yeah, there's a bit of Vovo on there. All right,
Cream Royale.
Jesus, come on, internet, hurry up. Okay, good. The boys from Purple Rain. Crown is a treat.
Oh,
Crown biscuit.
The Crown with the caramel and the chocolate and the crispy base. Oh. Yeah, but that's it. They're in the country with mining dollars, mate. They can afford Crowns.
They can. You're right. Joel Michael Anzac biscuits. Totally agree. Oh, yeah. Always a classic.
Yes. And they've got to be homemade ones, not the commercial dodgy jobs. The homemade Anzacs with just that golden syrup. Oh.
Yep.
Chicken crimpy ripped off. No, you gotta love a chicken crimpy, Joel.
That's shaky knee stuff.
JDog's fleshlight.
Paul Morley has said, is that how I pronounce that right? Mylery. Barbecue shapes, classic. Aussie barbecue classic. Donna. Very long time listener.
Donna J, superstar.
Yep. TikTok. I think we've got TikToks floating around our cupboard at the moment. Our son is obsessed with TikTok.
My daughter's always on TikTok. I don't see it. I don't get it.
Don't worry about that.
I try the dances.
Well, you've got an OnlyFans page. Makes sense. Josh Weymouth, old Flaming Josh, has got the humble Savoy. So versatile, having some dip, Savoys, got some cheese, Savoys, butter and Vegemite, Savoys, never had a bad one.
Well, my son who had his birthday on Sunday, good old Nitro Noah, favourite biscuit is the Savoy. He'll eat those by the packet. So Flaming Ming Josh, you've got another one who agrees with you wholeheartedly. Savoys are sensational.
Absolutely. Buzz, Subway cookies. And I said which ones. I had to clarify with him because I wasn't too sure. Choc and double choc could eat all day. They are pretty good when they're gooey.
Do you know, Jordan the Gooey? I reckon he's had a few Subway biscuits because the way he was covering the turf on the weekend.
Yep.
He needs to eat fresh.
The number one, Lyra Wallis, chocolate royales are a contender. Marshmallow, chocolate, jam, sweet option. Oh, that is a good one. To say we don't get them very often at the Wallis household, but they are top shelf.
Well, when you've got a mortgage, when you've got a property portfolio like you two have, you're swimming in it.
Jack Carrington Jones has said Scotch finger. That's the short and long of it.
Yeah. What
Good
about
joke
yours?
there.
What about yours?
Good joke. Mine.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Kathy and Rebecca. Tim Tams, especially when you bite off two corners and suck it through, or suck port through it. Suck port through it.
Oh,
That's
hello. The Portress boys. What have you been up to? Hello.
Hey.
Dodgies.
Mark Pepper, mint slice from the fridge. Obviously, your mum must make a mean mint slice.
No, hey, Dana makes a good mint slice.
Dana does. Oh, it's Dana. So I thought it was your mum.
That is my mum. Is Dana. That's her name.
Oh, I got the wrong one then. Okay, sure. I'll move on. Benny J. Kingston's every day of the week. Big fan of a Kingston. Big fan.
Too sweet.
Nick, got to be Tim Tam with a cup of coffee. Tim Tam Slam. So, Nick, I want to clarify. Is that when you do the two corner thing as well and you just suck up the drink through it? If so.
Is that having sex while eating a Tim Tam?
No. Have you ever done that before, Peps?
Yeah, I have. I've got 2 kids.
Yeah, no. I mean the old Tim Tam Slam.
No, I can't get crumbs in the bed. Wife hates it.
That's fair enough. And Jared Hodgetts, chicken crimpy. I know it, and I do. That is my favourite biscuit.
I love the crimps. Hey, I'm a big fan of the dark chocolate digestives.
Well, Peps, that's weird that you say that. Yeah,
I love it.
Weird.
No, they're a good biscuit, and they're on sale at the moment, $1.50 each.
Yeah.
Hey,
This week's question,
mate. You've been pumping this one up before we even got the show going. What's this week's question?
Well, once again, because we have got feedback from some of our listeners around the questions, and they want us to keep a bit of a food theme to our questions. Perhaps you noticed that.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, I have.
So the question for this week is: when going to a pub that has only 2 choices on the menu, would you choose, or what would you prefer? A chicken parmigiana with chips and salad, or a steak sanger with just chips. So it's got to be your go-to. So if you
the steak sanger or the parma,
flag into one, what is the one you are always ordering? The pub has got rid of everything else. Your local only has those 2 options.
Can I throw one more option in there? Just one more. Bangers and mash with gravy.
No.
Oh, no, steak sanger for me. Steak sanger for me.
Steak sanger for me. After we spoke about last week about the rules.
I always go early. All righty. So there's the question for the week. We'll throw that up on the chat page. Make sure you write it in because the viewer questions have going gangbusters. Rightio. Here's our new segment that we're throwing in. So I know we do tipped out our tips for the week, but people have said, look, we'd love to see a upcoming preview of the games coming up. And we thought, well, we sort of do that in tipped out. But what we might do is we might call it 1 week at a time where we look at the games coming up for this week. And is there one game that you look at going, I'm not going to miss that one? That's the one I'm getting sort of excited for. There may be a reason or 2 around it. So, look, I might go first with it because I know I've sort of sprung this on the JDog beforehand, but I'm looking at the games for this week and there's plenty of excitement around. But there's one game that, funny enough, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm so pumped to watch this North Melbourne Collingwood game, 4:35 p.m. at Marvel Stadium. So it's going to be North's home deck, just to see if North Melbourne can knock over the Pies. Because if it does, it is going to be a game that people are going to. It could be the end of Collingwood as we know it.
Yeah, I'll be interested what our supporters say in that one there. Oh, sorry, our listeners on tonight's show say about that one. So put your comments in. Peps, I love this question, and I love it because you are directly responding to what our listeners want. For me, if it was any other week other than this one, I would have said the exact same thing as you.
Yep.
Because I think that game has the most on it. Absolutely.
Yep.
But for me this week, it's the showdown.
It's got to be.
Port Adelaide and Adelaide for me. One is because, much like the Hawthorn and Geelong games, it doesn't matter where these teams are, they always seem to be a great game. And it's our Port home showdown. So I'm interested to see what Port Adelaide do in response to all of the black and white saga last week.
I hope you guys wear your bloody jumpers. I'd love you just to wear it, just to stick it up them. Because I think you should
make the banner black and white, or make all the LEDs around our ground black and white.
I just think Collingwood having a sook. It's an Australian league. Everybody should have the right to wear what they want on a game like this. Like, you're only looking about what they've done since they've joined the league. They've been around for, 150 years? You've got to recognise that. Okay,
We're only asking for one game a year.
It's not making a difference of it. And by the way, your jumper, Collingwood, looked like the bloody Essendon one on Anzac Day. So don't give me that crap. You're just a bunch of flogs. All right? And you don't even own the jumper anymore. It's just, what's his name? Yeah, no, I want bloody Port to wear their jumper. I reckon their black and white looks nothing like the Collingwood jumper.
No one would not think it is.
No one does. Yeah,
and we're not playing in it against Collingwood. We're just playing in it against Adelaide. So we're not support jumper.
Who cares? Like, no one's going to watch the game anyway, except if you're from Adelaide. So who gives a shit? Hey, and listen, worst case, we can give you 4 points. We've got a couple spare. Honorary mention, Melbourne, Sydney. I'll be going to that game and not looking forward to it.
No. Peps, are we going to try and lock in a game this year?
Yeah, we're going to try and lock in a game, and we'll tell you which game it is. We'll try and find a game probably on a Saturday afternoon. We'll go to a Saturday afternoon game where the weather's going to be looking all right. We'll invite everybody down. We'll meet somewhere. We'll just get on the sauce all day and make complete fools out of ourselves. So we'll let you know when that comes because we want to have a lace out at the footy game. And, we'll organise that a little bit later on because I reckon
pre and post game.
We could be hosting lace out from the holding cells at Russell Street if we get on that much. All right, so look, that's the end of the show. Should we go to a local game?
Yeah, we go to a local game.
A local footy game. We'll go to a local.
A Keilor game?
East Keilor. We'll go to East Keilor. I'll take you through the Chris Pepper, down the Chris Pepper wing. We'll go sit on the hill. We'll go to an East Keilor game. Joel Michael knows about them. They get feral when the new club rooms go up. Alrighty. Hey, listen, let's get around. So that's a beautiful episode, JDog. We'll get on to you in a moment because you are absolutely sensational. So a couple of things before we wrap up. Remember, tipped out on Thursday night. We're going to have our tips for round 8. So far this year, tipped out has gone berserk. People love our tips. We don't often get them right, but hey, it just goes to show that's the type of season it is. Remember, if you haven't jumped onto the feedback survey about the show, please go ahead and do so. We'd love to hear more about how much you love the show. Remember, if you want to get new footy, get over Lace Out in the checkout. Get 30% off a brand new Sharon. I know a few people have done that already, and they're loving it. They're loving their new Sharons as well too. So go ahead and do so. And that's about it. Hey, and if you're a graphic designer, this is one other thing. If you're a graphic designer, shoot us a message, laceoutpodcast@gmail.com or shoot us a direct message on the Facebook page. We need some help getting a T-shirt designed. Not as good as our beautiful Lace Out shirts, our concepts. We need something custom designed and we need somebody who can draw something, but we've got something specific in mind. So if you can help us out or know someone, let us know as well too. But that's Lace Out for another week. JDog, thank you very, very much to our listeners, to our viewers, for everybody who's been with us tonight and will be listening throughout the week. Once again, we do this show each and every week because of you. But more importantly, JDog, it's another week of football, so it's another week of Lace Out. And so the great question we always ask is, Mr. Jamie Wallis, how do you want your footy?
I like it. Lace out.
And all of us do. Have a great weekend and good luck to your team this weekend.
See you, listeners.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on iTunes. I'm your host, Chris Pepper, and with Jamie Wallis, we give you your footy how you want it. Lace out.